Somebody didn't like me. Okay, does anybody like me now? This is number B here on Thursday. And now I have to go back and show content again. I can always tell when it drops offline. Okay, so tomorrow is full service dress for the uniform day. We have APT guys in the morning. We'll actually be working together and be called out of your study hall period. Gather at the flagpole. We have a ceremony for our veterans tomorrow at the flagpole. On Sunday, we have a veterans parade. How many people here are planning on being at the veterans parade? Please. Does everybody know where to go to get there? The Veterans Hospital. The secret is to park by the Yavapai College baseball field and walk via the hiking path to the Yavapai VA, and that way you don't have the mess of cars that you always do. So think about that. Community service, I'm looking for someone who knows about carpentry and can refinish the picnic tables. Actually, we need like 3 refinished. Yes, sir?
I can help you with that. Do you need them stained, sir, or do you need them...
I need them taken care of. I mean, what happens about every couple of years, the kids tear them up. So I'm open to suggestions. I will buy the materials. We can provide the materials, but I need someone who works and to crank it out. Okay. Did you do it last time?
No, sir, but I have taken wood chop and I've...
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it was about 2 or 3 years ago. We did them all again. So anyway, let's talk after school or outside of this, and we'll crank it out and do that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see. And then again, for your classes here, this week you guys missed your Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so y'all need to make sure you make up the Monday and Tuesday assignments and crank right through it. The way ahead, like I said, is to finish up with Chapter 1 all the way through Lesson 5 prior to Thanksgiving. And then your testing will be after that. Okay? So we'll be hustling through this. All right, so everybody please open up your books. And let's go. I'll tell you what, we have only one speaker left. Cadet Brunel, did you do your speech? Great, okay. Please mark on there that Cadet Overton's going to do her speech. And we will do it towards the end of the hour, okay, Cadet Overton? So we'll have you sweat until then. Is that okay? Just kidding. Okay. So what we're going to do today actually is go through the ranks and insignias mainly. To review, we went over what the military uniform symbolizes. We went over parts of our standards, the guidelines for actually wearing the uniforms. We talked about the history, and we actually then went over some of the different types of the uniforms that have come through history. There was one thing in particular here. There were different standards for males and females that we went over that you may or may not have known. It's a little different, than the normal Walmart uniform or employee uniform. Mirrors what the Air Force does. It's a little different. But, for instance, you only wear them when we talk about them, and even it's quite appropriate this week. You should not. I can't be in uniform saying, "I want President Obama to win," or "I'm for Mitt Romney." You don't do that. That's illegal. I literally could be decommissioned and face the Uniform Code of Military Justice as punishment if I were to promote one politician over the other. It's not my business to be in uniform and tell you what I want for America. And you don't ever wear the uniforms, you don't ever lend the uniforms to somebody else. You don't ever wear parts of the uniforms. And those are different types of things we think about with the uniforms. Sunglasses must not have mirrored lenses. That's probably the most problematic thing when springtime comes, when we're outside, or actually come December when we're practicing our 30-step drill. Those are some things that may come up. Tattoos and brands, we've been through all that with you. A lot of the students cannot understand that you can't have nose rings or multiple earrings when you're in our uniforms. It's kind of like being on your football team. We're in the football uniforms just to wear it properly. So it's the same issues here. Okay, this is where we stopped last time for the beginning of Chapter 2. We're going to finish up Chapter 2. Cadet Haslam, what is an insignia?
A badge or a mark of an office or honor.
Of an office and honor. Does the President of the United States have an insignia?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
The eagle. Thur.
Just an eagle? Sitting here like this? No, what's the President's insignia? Cadet Bektovich.
Isn't it holding like an air and olive leaves?
Presidential seal, right? That's his insignia. It's a seal, and it sits on his podium when he's doing the talking. It's on his plane. I am told that if you ever get to fly on the presidential plane, the most stolen items are M&Ms with the presidential seal on them. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, you have different insignias for your office or place of honor. What about me? Am I wearing any insignias right now?
Yes.
What?
Full bird, and that equates
Full bird equals what?
colonel, sir.
Then they call it full bird, full colonel. Exactly. A badge. You wear any badges here?
Yes, sir. You're wearing your badge on your upper left.
Okay, and these are called badges. They're called wings, but they're also badges. Colonel DeKemper has his badge of what?
Missile.
He's a missile dude. Yeah, so Colonel Kemper's a missile man. Okay, and this is, of course, the name tag and then the badge. And you see, actually, today I should have put on my bling and showed you my whole uniform, but, you know, everything on your uniform means something. Okay? These are the insignias. Are the Air Force. And I tell you what I've done is I've gone to the modern technology here. Here is, for all of our services, the different insignias. And I'm telling you, it's confusing. I have been an Air Force guy my whole life. My dad was in the Army, okay? So I never really got used to the other armed forces ranks, such as Navy or some of the unusual Marine ranks. So I'm quite used to Army and Air Force are pretty close. Gee, why would the Army and the Air Force rank be pretty close there, Cadet Johnson?
Because the Air Force is from the Army. Too.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, exactly. We didn't come from the Navy. Gee, wonder why the Coast Guard would be close to the Navy. For similar reason. Yes, sir.
One thing that I've noticed just now, sir, is that all ranks of E1 and all services, sir, are the exact same. Nothing.
Seaman recruit is different from Airman Basic.
I mean, there's no.
Oh, you mean it's nothing? Okay, all right, I'll agree with that. It's nothing. I know they appreciate that. What rank do you enter if you enlist in the Army, Air Force, or Navy after taking my class for 3 years? Petrovich, there you go, yes. E3, you get paid more money, quicker promotion than your peers. And if you run the numbers, which I did about 2 years ago, I think it was about $14 an hour sitting in here you gain by taking my class instead of another class and enlisting, because you enter straight as an E3 with greater rank, greater promotion, quicker, and it ends up being 3 years times 180 hours, right? 180 days, so that's 540 hours, and you multiply that by $14 an hour you're making. It's a pretty good deal. Okay, so there we go. Those are, I tell you, and to be honest, it says the Navy and the Coast Guard, SA, SN. I never quite got that. But this is the Navy military study, so I'm going to try to emphasize. Petty officer, third class. You know, why does a petty officer third class equal E4? That messes me up. But anyway, there we go. These are all the different military service rank. Corporal, a corporal is an E4. That's corporal is equal to a senior airman.
Be a specialist instead of a corporal. That's what.
Yes, ma'am.
Is an E6 in the Navy petty officer first class?
Let's see what a PO1 is the same thing as SSG. So, and the way it works as far as experience, guys, and responsibility is E1, 2, 3. You're just figuring out the game. You're figuring out how to wear the uniform, how to salute officers. I mean, you're getting training. Once you get up into E4, E5, you might get some responsibility. Like a senior airman here in E4 will probably be in charge of an airman basic or an airman. E4 and 5, they're testing you out. Like a sergeant, what we used to call buck sergeant, is now a staff sergeant. They're testing you out as a sergeant, and really the jump from E5 to E6 is big. Responsibility-wise, it's hard, and money. You get a lot more money. So when you get to E6, that's pretty good. That's really good. A lot of people, as a matter of fact, some of the NCOs in junior ROTC never got past tech sergeant. I mean, they like it. They like the responsibility. They didn't go for anything higher. Of course, the other big jump is to E7, because then you're in what's called the top 3. E7, 8, 9 means, look over here, you can actually be a first sergeant, which means you're in charge of all the enlisted troops of your squadron or your group. And that's what this little diamond in the Air Force means, first sergeant. Okay, so E7, 8, 9 are the biggies as far as enlisted grades. Senior Master Sergeant Martinez, who some of you guys might remember, he was a E8 right here. This was his rank. And you can see in the Marines, that's when the first sergeants start to kick in. Senior Chief Petty Officer, okay, First Sergeant, Master Sergeant. So that's kind of occasionally you have these things like an E7 here as a Master Sergeant. Guess what? Master Sergeant Army is an E8, outranks him. So a lot of times when you're in one service and you go to another base, for instance, Air Force Captain, an Air Force Captain is an O3. A Navy Captain is what? 06, sir. 06. It's a huge difference. And so whenever I was a Air Force Captain going to fly jets on Navy bases, I would make sure I say, hey, I'm a captain in the Air Force. And then they know not to treat me like a colonel. But anyway, E9 maxes it out, and that is as high as it gets. There's something called a Command Chief Master Sergeant, Chief Master Sergeant, Command Chief Master Sergeant. And then, of course, you do have one enlisted member who's in charge of all the other enlisted members in the military, in their department. So Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, that's a very fancy when he's got there. Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Very neat. Okay, so then, officer's rank. Very, very similar.
You got to be a Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps before service. Very daunting.
Yeah, very, very scary. All right. True or false? Does the Air Force have warrant officers? Ding, ding, ding. No. When I was a kid, at 22, there still were some Air Force warrant officers around. But now, 30 years later, when I'm an older kid, at 52, all of them have retired and gone away.
Why they don't have any, sir?
The reason, I don't know. I'm not going to, don't quote me, but I was always told that warrant officers, especially in the Army, which I'm very familiar with, they are specialists of their technical trade, which I'm familiar with. Warrant officers are generally helicopter pilots, and that's all they want to do is fly helicopters. They don't care about leading. They don't care about being promoted. They're not a commissioned officer. A warrant officer is not a commissioned officer. It's a non-commissioned officer. And again, in the old days, you didn't have to have a education. You didn't have to have a college education or master's. They generally do now. My brother was in the Army, and he was a CW4 right here. And they didn't have CW5 at that time. So he pretty much maxed it out in the Army as a CW5. Basically, that's a lieutenant colonel, a colonel. I mean, a CW5 is a colonel. And you don't get paid as much, but pretty close. You get a lot of money. The good news is all you do is fly. And why does the Air Force get away with it? I'm not really sure. It probably had something to do with personnel and how they rate people, or the fact that every officer has to have a college degree, and they didn't want to have this middle situation. I assume nowadays, with everybody educated, I assume most of the warrant officers have college degrees also. Okay, so here we go for the O1. That's what you do when you graduate from officer training school, like Colonel to Kemper, or ROTC, like I graduated from ROTC from college, or the Air Force Academy, become a second lieutenant. Gee, why is it called a butter bar? Okay? If you're a butter bar, you're an 01, and you're generally regarded as an idiot by everybody else because you're so brand new. I'm just kidding. That's not bad. That shouldn't go on the internet. But anyway, I'm just saying butter bars are viewed as the absolute newest person there. And obviously, a butter bar, true or false? Can a butter bar be in charge of a warrant officer?
Yes, sir.
Yes. A butter bar can be in charge of a chief warrant officer. Can be. What about a butter bar? Can a butter bar... When a butter bar is walking down the Pentagon, I've seen this happen, and you have the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, who's been in 35 years. He's older than the butter bar's dad, and they're coming walking towards each other. Does the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force have to salute the butter bar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The answer is yes, because that's a commissioned officer. So the number one most experienced enlisted guy in the military still salutes the least experienced brand new officer. That's part of the military grade structure. Okay, so an ensign, again, the Navy has different terms. An ensign, Lieutenant JG is what it's called. You have a Lieutenant JG, junior grade, which is our first lieutenant, and then you have a lieutenant in the Navy, which is our captain. And then our captains are equal to their colonels.
The forces between Army, Marines, and Air Force are pretty closely related, sir.
If you look at them, the rank is pretty related. What they call them is kind of different, right?
Aside from the Coast Guard and Navy, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of a line for the officers. It's kind of easy, okay? And what they look at. When you get to the generals, it's kind of really weird here. You got again, the Navy's different because honestly, they were around for a long time. Yes, sir.
Why are 07 and 08 in the Navy both the same? They both called rear admirals.
Well, one's called lower half and one's called upper half. And the answer why is I don't know. Okay? Look it up on Wikipedia. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. But the answer is you're a lower half or you're an upper half. I actually have a cousin, Doug Morton, who grew up with me my same age. And I'm 30 years in the military right now. I guess maybe he's 28. But he just got Rear Admiral lower half in the Navy. So he is the civil engineer general, admiral in the Navy. Really great, glad about that.
Major.
And another thing is a tricky, a major, which is rank above a lieutenant. When you get to general, a major general is below a lieutenant general. So it's opposite. Like a lieutenant, you go lieutenant, captain, major. But for generals, you go major general, then lieutenant general. So you'd much rather be a lieutenant general than a major general. Okay? And then you come up to 4-star generals, right? There's actually about, I think, 12 in the Air Force. I'm not sure. I know in the Marine Corps there's one.
Commandant of the Marine Corps.
And he, believe it or not, is married to a cousin of mine. I got a very prolific family. But anyway, yeah, I'm related by marriage to the Commandant of the Marine Corps right this second. But you can see that it's, I'm not sure how many, that's a good question. How many 4-star generals does the Army have? How many 5-star generals are going on right now? None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. You generally don't have them.
I believe there's only been 3.
No, there's more than you think because you're just not aware of them. Yes, sir.
I believe I've seen on Wikipedia that in the Army and the Navy there is a rank above the General of the Army and Fleet Admiral.
I don't know. That would be trivia. It's not on your test, okay?
It's called President.
It's called President. Yeah, exactly. I got a question. What if you're a 5-star general, and let's say you want to take over an island like the Philippines, and the president goes, no. And then you still take all your forces and you go invade the Philippines, what might happen to you?
You get a court-martial.
You get fired, okay? Like General Douglas MacArthur got fired by the president because he didn't follow directions. So that's what kind of makes America great, is the generals don't run the show like they do in most every other country in the world. Yes, sir.
Did he directly disobey? I thought he publicly argued about it.
Both. I mean, he was a politician. General MacArthur, we can't be a general without being a politician. But I'm saying at that point, he did not do what the president wanted, and so the civilian president said, see ya. And you can actually get online and see the letter he wrote him, which is pretty poignant because that guy was very, very influential in the Pacific War, and you can be fired like that. About 20 years ago, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force was a very, very talkative fighter pilot. Okay, and he was hired to be a fighter pilot right at the beginning of Desert Storm, the original Desert Storm. I can't remember his name. I should know him. But basically, guess what? He was on a plane. He started talking to reporters. And he said things that he should not have said. It was about the plan of how we're going to invade Kuwait. And by the time the plane landed, the guy was fired. The president heard about him, and he was relieved of duty. So that's, I mean, when we have civilian control of the military, it's 100%, without a doubt. Okay, so we have been over all these things. We talked about lieutenant. That's why it's proper for calling Colonel DeKemper, even though technically he's a lieutenant colonel. Does everybody know here that I was a lieutenant colonel when I started this ROTC? I've not always been a colonel in this ROTC. I was a lieutenant colonel when I started this junior ROTC in 2006. And I got promoted to colonel while I was here because I'm a reservist. And I was actually promoted to colonel during one of our change of commands, actually in December. It was pretty fun. Use general for all generals. You don't ever say, Brigadier General Bob. You just always say general. Okay. Say chief for anybody who's chief master sergeant. You say sergeant. So Sergeant Martinez, even though he was an E8, he was almost chief. We still called him sergeant. Yes, sir.
I hear a lot of people always saying like staff sergeant.
That's fine. You can say that if the person is a staff sergeant. But in general, you say sergeant, you're good to go.
We all call it senior.
Senior. Yeah, that's kind of a new trend. Okay. You see the first sergeant, again, first sergeants are those that are truly in charge of the development of the young troops. And honestly, they keep them out of trouble is what they do. First sergeants, you can see here, it's maintaining discipline and standards of conduct. So when you're a young airman and you're out partying too much and get in trouble, guess who you go see? You don't go see the colonel the first time. The first time you go see the first sergeant. And they are very excellent. Very, very excellent. And another thing a first sergeant does, our first sergeant teaches butter bars. Brand new lieutenants that don't know what's going on, the first sergeant will sort of mentor them and grow them up and tell them the ways it goes. Here's Chief Master Sergeant Air Force. We talked about that. Can you imagine working as the personal advisor to the Air Force Chief of Staff? As a matter of fact, I've been in this guy's office. It's in the Pentagon, and I mean it is right next to the Chief of Staff of the 4-star General Run. They right there. And it's pretty neat, Okay, we talked about the airman grades. And the junior ROTC. Here's a junior ROTC. Emblems. We have been this. You guys should know this pretty well, the ones who are not first years. In this cadet corps, the highest rank you can have is a cadet lieutenant colonel. I think, twice in 7 years I've given a cadet a rank of colonel because they deserved it. They worked hard. They didn't get senioritis, which everybody gets, right? But in our world, we get a cadet lieutenant colonel is the highest we get. All right, so we should know this. This is part of your testing. So you should know what your rank is. Cadet Walensky, what's your rank? This is the second semester. Did we give you a promotion little thing?
Yes, sir.
So what's your rank?
No, sir.
Look right there. It says Cadet Airman First Class. Okay, second semester E2. Okay, yes, sir.
For being in this ROTC, if I joined the Army, would I still get?
You better believe it. Yep. Army, Navy, Air Force, you get E3. Marines, you get E2. And it's just the way they do things. Okay? Yeah, it's perfect. And, oh, by the way, Anybody applies to any of the academies, West Point, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, Coast Guard Academy. Actually, I'm not sure about the Coast Guard Academy. The three big ones. If you apply to that and you're competitive, Ms. McCraley, because we're a distinguished unit, can help you in the application process. You get a lot of bonus points by applying from ours. And we have this year we got a couple, but next year we got like 4 or 5 people applying. It's going to work out well. Okay, so we have talked about these things. What are these things called? Badges. Yes, these. Let me blow this up a little bit here. This is, let's see, there we go. Can we see that a little better? I don't know, does that work when I go like this? No, it doesn't. Okay, here we go. They are called badges. Okay? Just like this is a badge. They're wings, but you guys have badges also. And actually, when I teach, was anybody here in my flight school last year? When I teach my flight ground school, you get those badges. Cadet Gonzalez is actually soloed in gliders, and so she's getting a flight solo badge. There's your rocketry badge. We give those out. We go do the rocket meet in the springtime. Shoulder tabs. So those are all badges that are fun that you can put on your bling. Here is your actual cool ribbons.
ROTC badge.
Excuse me?
That distinguished ROTC badge. How would we receive that one, sir?
I don't know. There's a what now?
Bottom left, sir.
Bottom left. Ding, 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 ding. Distinguished AFJ ROTC badge. I do not know. I've never seen that one before. It may be discontinued since they've did these slides 5 years ago. But you know what? Go research it.
Yes, sir. If I find out we get to get him, I'll be like, sir.
You'll be a happy dude.
Do you see what I've done?
I've got more bling for us. I do not know. I just know that on here, we are very unusual. And this over here on the right, it says Distinguished Unit Award.
6 times?
Yeah, we've got it 6 straight years. And so very rarely you guys will see this when you go see the other junior ROTC kids in the nation or the state. You'll be able to have the one guys have been here 4 years will have 1 plus 3 clusters, and that just doesn't happen. It's very rare. But anyway, those are the insignias and grades we have. To review, we've been over the different restrictions in wearing. Yes, sir, Cadet Haslam.
How do you earn the Purple Heart ribbon in ROTC?
Is there one on there?
There's the Cadet Valor Silver and Gold, sir.
Yeah, it's not a Purple Heart. Purple Heart is not.
There's one right there.
Military Order of the Purple Heart.
Oh, Military Order of the Purple Heart is you win it.
And
it's a national award. There's like about 20 national awards in May. Stick with me and you'll see them be awarded to our top cadets.
I've read up on that one, sir, that Cadet Air Force JROTC Valor Award. And it's near impossible to get it. You not only have to save someone from...
I've never seen that one award. I've never seen the top 3 awarded, actually.
It's near impossible. You have to save someone and get injured. Or become injured in the...
And see here, the Billy Mitchell, actually, Cadet Gonzalez actually got the Billy Mitchell. You can have some from the Civil Air Patrol, too, which are pretty cool. So,
I've seen them
anyway, those are good bling. I like bling just like anybody else. I'm ready to give it to you guys. You earn them. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so this pretty much concludes in Lesson 2 for us. And you guys will be ready to take the test. We're going to have a test on Lesson 1, 2, and 3, which we will finish 3 next week. And I'll get to 4 and 5 before Thanksgiving. But your test 1, 2, and 3 will be prior to the finals. And on the finals day, you'll actually have a test on Lesson 4 and 5 as part of your LE curriculum. Are we ready for a speech, Cadet Overton? Oh, yes, sir. Wow, I'm so tired. I don't want to wake up.
I got 45 minutes.
I was sorry to wake you up there. I'm sorry. Everybody, okay. Everybody ready to get Cadet Overton your undivided attention. Here, I'll move the picture frame over there so you can actually use the entire frame. All right, Cadet Overton. Hold it. Let me get the timer going. I actually have my phone today, which does help. What might you be talking to us today about?
I'm going to talk about the proper CPR procedure.
Oh my goodness. You're gonna win one of those awards. All right, there we go. Go.
So for my first topic, you have to be certified every 2 years, and you can't perform CPR on somebody unless you are certified. And if you do, then you get in trouble. Second topic would be, okay, so the person's like falling on the ground, so then you have to walk over to them, and you have to make sure that they're not breathing, and that they don't have a pulse, and so you go down, and you listen to their heart rate, and if you can't hear it, then that's when you start performing CPR. And in the past, they've always said that the rescue breaths were like the best way to like resuscitate a person, but now they're saying that the compressions are what like bring them back to life because it restarts their heart. So you see somebody falling on the ground, and then they're just totally passed out, whatever, like heart attack, whatever. They're just totally passed out. So then you get down on the ground, you listen to their heart, and then if they're totally passed out, then you start with a 30 to 2 chest compression to rescue breath ratio. So you do the 30 chest compressions, and then you do 2 breaths in between. And you always want to make sure that you have like your hands locked, like that. And then you want to make sure you press like right in the middle of their sternum in order to get their heart going again. And then you want to make sure that you do 100 chest compressions per minute. And it's funny. It should they say that you should be doing the chest compressions to the beat of "Staying Alive." Kind of ironic, but yeah. And then let's see.
I have a question.
Oh,
ABCs of CPR?
no. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. The third thing is that you are not, you are legally obligated to perform CPR on somebody, once you're certified. And then the only way you can is if they're still conscious, and you have to ask them permission, if you can perform CPR on them. And if you don't ask permission, then you get in trouble. It's all part of the Good Samaritan laws or something like that. So, yeah. Are there any questions?
What does CPR stand for?
Cardiovascular.
Cardiopulmonary.
Yes. Cardiopulmonary.
Pulmonary resuscitation.
Let's see. Put that there. Any other questions? Yes.
Since when did you have to have laws on being a good Samaritan?
It's kind of it's basically for any healthcare professional. You have to be certified every couple years because the laws, or not the laws, but the body is always changing. They always find out new things about the body, so they have to have that information updated every once in a while. And so the Good Samaritan laws, they basically just say if you are certified that you have to abide by these laws, and then if you don't, you get in trouble. They can sue you or whatever. They can either say, hey, this person didn't help me, blah blah blah, or they did help me and I didn't want them to. You can get in trouble for that.
I could have died, but they didn't ask my permission to sing.
Yeah.
It's pretty stupid.
All righty, everybody give a round of applause. Great job, great job. So that does conclude our public speaking the first round, right? I'm happy. I'm happy about that. Here, look what I just looked up on the internet. That we have the 5-star ranks that you guys were asking about. And basically, 5-star ranks, of course, worldwide. But most all services have 5-star ranks. And then the Air Force has only had one person with a 5-star rank ever. And so, what did you say?
6 stars, sir?
Yeah, at the bottom.
True, but there's only 5-star rank for other countries can do whatever they want to.
Let's say 6 stars.
But basically, they were saying that George Washington on July 4th, 1976, the bicentennial was granted a rank superior to any other 5-star generals. The Air Force has only had one 5-star general. I thought that was quite interesting. We actually talked about him lately. It was General Hap Arnold. Okay, after the Air Force became a separate power, the only person to hold the rank of General of the Air Force has been Hap Arnold. Okay, so that was the one in the Air Force. In the Army, there's been...
Sir,
yes?
didn't General Hap Arnold graduate from West Point, fly with the Wright brothers, and have something to do with the Strategic Air Command, sir?
No.
No?
Nope, you got it mixed up. In the Army, you can see that actually you've had different insignias here for the 5-star generals. And the 5-star general is the second highest possible rank. You have General of the Army, which ranks above the generals of the Army. Okay? So you can actually see that a good question is how many 5-star Americans they've been. And you can see them that one person, they've been 9 of them, one person was actually a 5-star general in 2 services. It was cool. They said that the rank has been retired. Can you imagine when you get United States officers holding 5-star ranks never retire? They never. They draw full active duty pay for life.
Wow. Dang.
5-star general, that's a lot of money.
Imagine that.
The last one was 1981 on the death of General Omar Bradley. So he was getting full paid his whole life. It's kind of a very honor system there.
Oh,
so anyway, I was interested. One of you guys asked about that. That was interesting for me.
One of us could be a 5-star general.
What did you guys want to see? The 6-star? You want to try out a 6-star rank? Who has a 6-star rank?
USO 12 insignia?
That looks like an internet hoax, doesn't it?
You click on
Conjectural design for General Army says it's a conjecture. It's an internet hoax. So that's good. All right. So, Cadet Brudenell, why don't we get everybody out of here?
Flight 10 hut. Dismissed.
Go do great things.